This would be the most Jets thing ever, him blowing it out again in a meaningless season, because that's where the season is headed. And we all know that. And we all know that, they play good at home. Their defense plays well at home. This is, I think, the first time I don't think Tua saw the Jets defense last year. So this is going to be interesting for Tua, the weather, the whole thing. But I do believe that, this game will be – I have to believe that the Jet defense is going to keep it close, like they always have. And as long as Tim Boyle, and I can't even believe I'm saying his name, as a starting quarterback in an NFL team, and good for him. I don't want to be mean to him. It's not his fault. He's here. He has an opportunity, much like Tommy DeVito had an opportunity. Go out and make a name for yourself. Tommy DeVito has made a name for himself. You can say whatever you want about 9 sacks and maybe not reading the defenses correctly, but no interceptions, no fumbles, 3 touchdown passes and a victory to his name.
Yeah, and no expectations from the first time that we saw him where he wasn't even allowed to throw the ball. So, I mean, anything that you got out of him was gravy, and you got a very, very good football game out of him.
Hey, right, and the thing about Tommy DeVito, this was his first foray into the NFL.
Right.
Tim Boyle's been around.
He has.
I mean, he's not like a spring chicken. He's been around. He's got no college resume to speak of. And for some reason, he's been able to hang on. Whether it be because of his friendship with Aaron Rodgers or whatever the situation may be, he actually had to show something on the practice field and have some modicum of understanding of what Nathaniel Hackett's offense is all about. So this is now his opportunity. And like I said, I don't want to rain on his parade. I mean, he could save the season. If they end up somehow winning on Friday, that means the Jets season is saved and they have a chance. And that's all you can ask for. But if he goes out there, throws numerous interceptions, gets sacked and fumbles, and the Jets get blown out, then it's going to be, open season on everybody over there at Florham Park. And that's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, and the Zach Wilson era being over, now the spotlight and the heat moves back onto Rob Saleh, Joe Douglas, and the players that will actually be out there on the field. And I don't know if the offense can be any worse than it's been with Zach Wilson as the quarterback. I expect it to be better. I also expect there to be this sense of relief amongst the players. Like, okay, we don't have to worry about this anymore. We don't have to pretend like Zach Wilson is playing well. I don't have to lie to the reporters any longer. We can move on from this, and we can get a boost potentially from Tim Boyle, which I don't know if he's going to go out there and play well either, but I do think that there's a chance that just from a standpoint of an exhale with the Zach Wilson thing that they may play better. And I do like the Jets. I'm not going to say to win this game, but I do like them to play well in this game. I don't think you're going to get another one of these Chargers or Bills games out of the Jets this week. I think they'll be much more competitive than they were against the Buffalo Bills. I will just say that much, because at the very least, this is a team that at MetLife Stadium has played well against good offenses, and that is a fact.
I have a feeling we're going to show up Sunday on the NFL Today, and we're going to be talking about how the Dolphins' defense was awesome on Friday and how now they are a legitimate contender for the number 1 seed in the NFL, because that's what happens when teams play the Jets.
Right.
Because their defenses show up, the Jets do nothing on offense, and unless Breece Hall is running for over 100 yards, I think their chances of winning the game are probably maybe 10%, if that much. All I can tell you is the reality of the situation, but maybe the relieving of the pressure and the stress around Zach Wilson will be a precursor to something that will happen good, much like Mike White did last year. But this is the Dolphin team that scores a lot of points. I know they're different on the road than they are at home. Looks like the weather's going to be reasonably nice on Friday.
It is.
And so that would bode well for their offense. So, I don't know what to expect. All I know is that it's better without Zach at the moment. The other thing I can't believe is they trotted him out in front of the media, Zach Wilson.
Why?
I can't believe that. I'm like, why?
He's handled it well this year, though.
I'm not saying he hasn't handled it well, but, there comes a point where, and I was talking to a buddy of mine who was the guy out in Utah that was telling me all about Zach 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And said, don't expect much. And I called him yesterday and I said, the kid is a nice kid. I have nothing against him personally. I wanted him to do well. I could see flashes of arm talent and incredible athletic ability, but there's a wall in front of him that will not allow him to figure out the game and be the quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be. And, for all intents and purposes, he's done here. I would, and I know that there are salary cap issues and constraints and things of that nature that I'm not probably privy to, but I would just let him sit in the background. I wouldn't even dress him for a game.
I agree with all that. I just think that this is one of those things. I mean, you know what it's like in the media around here and to cover this team, and no one had. So they spoke to him after the game when he was benched during the game. They hadn't spoken to him after the decision to start Tim Boyle over him. And I think that this was one final media session for him, and that was it. Like, I didn't think that was a problem. You know that Rich Cimini and what's his name, Brian Costello, and all these other guys were probably saying, we need Zach one more time after this decision, and the Jets acquiesced to that.
I mean, what are you going to ask him? And I know what they asked him yesterday, and I know he held himself accountable, and he held himself.
He did a nice job with it. I mean,
he did, but I mean, it's like enough already. I mean, can we just keep...
Well, it is. It's over now. It is. It's now it's done. I mean, now yesterday was it. I think. I don't think you're going to see him speak to the media again unless he has to go into a game because Tim Boyle and Trevor Siemian got hurt.
By the way, which is a very high probability in today's NFL. I think we're going to have, I think Tim Boyle's, is going to be the 49th different quarterback playing in a game.
Wow.
I think that's about right. Last year we had 68 quarterbacks.
Well, start a game, right? Because he's already been in a game.
Right. I think it is start a game, but it's some ridiculous number of players that have played the position. And as Tom Brady has said this week, the NFL product is mediocre. There's no question about that. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Tom has his reasons. I think any of us who have covered the league and played in the league have our reasons. I think it's the lack of practice. I think it's, the fact that they can't hit on the practice field late in the season. All the time off. Again, the owners really don't care about that because it doesn't cost them any money. But it does cost, I think, overall the product. And and that combined with some of the officiating gaffes and mistakes that we have seen this year, this season has not been, even though they will put out propaganda telling you how many close score games there are and all that other stuff. It's how the games are played.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially around here. I mean, and we focus on these teams so much, and it has been brutal. It hasn't been enjoyable at all. I mean, I can think on just one hand some of the fun games that we've had. The Tommy DeVito Commanders game was a fun game. The Giants-Cardinals game was a fun game. I think week one, after the devastation of the Aaron Rodgers injury and them coming back and Xavier Gibson and all of that was a fun game. But, I mean, outside of that, what else are we talking about? I mean, it's been brutal football locally again. So, yeah, I kind of agreed with Tom Brady. I also think that Tom Brady's out there who just had that dinner with the Fox people and Aaron Andrews, and now he's out there, and we never really hear strong opinions from him. I think they're sort of gearing him up to go into the booth next year and actually have some opinions on the league.
Gearing him up?
I think they're...
You got to gear up Tom Brady?
I think so, yeah. At least when it comes to this particular part of his life. Obviously, when it comes to other things, he gears himself up. But this is one of the things we said when he was named this Fox #1 analyst. It's like, we really don't hear him give strong opinions on anything. He's going to be good at this. So I think this is his foray into doing that. And we're going to hear a lot more of Tom Brady's opinions on the league. I could just see him, some executive telling him at the dinner, like, what's the one thing you really feel passionate about in the NFL right now? He's like, well, I think the play is mediocre, and I think that the coaches think, okay, go with that. We're going to put you on with Stephen A. Smith. You go with that. We're going to turn you into the opinion maker, Tom.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Another basket of bread over here. I can't just picture that whole situation going down.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
that's probably what happened.
I will say that when you think he is kind of right. I mean, because you look at some of the players that you have to watch playing. So if you're a PSL owner at MetLife Stadium and you're a Jet fan or a Giant fan, now the Giant fan, they're going to come and they're going to show up and they're going to root for Tommy DeVito on Sunday like hell. You know that.
Oh yeah.
They're going to want to beat Belichick. They're going to want Tommy DeVito to go off, and they're going to be cheering his ass off because he's finally brought some energy to the team, which is what the team exactly needed. For the Jet fan showing up, and you got Tim Boyle starting for you. I mean, good luck. I mean, I don't know. You have these expensive tickets, the parking, and everything else, and this is what you thought you were going to get on Black Friday?
Yeah, of course not. And I think that point right there is driving Jets fans. Like I heard Evan say it, I heard Joe say it on his spot. I've heard other Jets fans say it, that they want to see Aaron Rodgers this year, no matter if the record. But this is what I've heard. I mean, we posted a video yesterday of Evan saying that regardless if they're in it or not, he wants to see Aaron Rodgers play football for the Jets. And I think that's a big mistake. And I think it's driven by pure emotion. And maybe if I were in the same situation as they were, watching this team and rooting for this team my whole life like they have, I would say the same thing. I don't know. But I am I'm in shock that so many people, when they see these updates about Aaron Rodgers jogging and him wanting to practice, I mean, nothing says that Aaron Rodgers is rushing this thing more than the declaration that he wants to start practicing on his birthday. Because that has no timeline other than his own timeline in his head. There is nothing medical about that at all other than his own satisfaction to be able to throw it into people's faces. And he probably looked at the calendar when he got hurt and goes, wouldn't it be great if I started practicing again on my birthday? That is the goal. And that's what he's trying to do. And it's nuts. I would... If I were a Jet fan, I would be down at that facility with signs. I'd be screaming. I'd be just stop, please, for the love of God. This season is over. Let's not ruin next season before it even starts. Mm-hmm. And that is the risk that is being taken with him trying to do this.
Listen, I will say that doing a little pat and go, maybe doing some light jogging, maybe that's all part of the rehab and you feel like you're accelerating it because of the way that they did this surgery and the fact that, it's a little bit different than what most people deal with. But, just practice alone. When you get into practice and you got to be able to say to yourself that ankle and that Achilles can handle just the stress and pressure of practice is one thing. Like they could protect you in that situation. You step out on a football field and you got a 290-pound defensive end coming at you named Myles Garrett. Oh, good luck. Good luck, man. This, you got to go ball, and he knows this. He's not an idiot. Obviously, he's a very bright guy. You have to go balls to the wall from the moment you step on the field, and he found that out 4 games into his short
four plays into it.
Yes.
I mean, think about it. He was as healthy as he had been in a while by his own declaration, as in shape as he had been in a while, and then ended up tearing his Achilles in the first game. So, I mean, now you're going to come back off of that injury and play this season in December and potentially games that don't matter in the playoff picture? Like, what?
Do you know what the percentage of chances for the Jets to make the playoffs are today when we sit here?
I'll say 10.
Nope.
17.
Nope.
Lower?
Lower, Bob.
Lower than 10?
Lower, Bob.
6.
Lower, Bob.
2%.
Higher, Bob. 3%.
Okay, 3%.
And the Giants, 0.03%.
I was going to say. I mean, that.
Yes.
I think
they're at the bottom of the barrel. But unfortunately for the Giants now, they may have taken themselves, and maybe Tommy DeVito takes them on this little ride and this little burst of energy that he brings, and it's going to take them right out of the top 5 in the Tankathon.
Oh, yeah, that would not be a good situation. But then again, you never know.
I don't know. Maybe they end up with Michael Penix.
Yeah, they could. I mean, I was reading.
That kid can play, man. Now, he can play. He's lefty, a little different, but he can play. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's got, get this. Are you ready?
Oh, boy.
Are you ready?
I'm excited for this one.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
He's got 11-inch hands.
Get out of here.
Yes, he does.
Those are some big-ass hands, man.
Okay, you remember Kenny Pickett's got small hands.
He does. But Joe Burrow was said to have the smaller hand, too. And
this Romeo Odunze, I keep telling you, he's one of the top wide receivers, if not the top wide receiver. I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is out there, and I know he's a really good player, but you watch Washington. I've watched almost every one of Washington's games this year. Between Odunze and Penix, these two will definitely be, I would say, top 10 picks. Both of them will be top 10 picks. That is my prediction right now.
Well, this draft already's got some juice to it. I really didn't think we'd be focusing on it with either one of these teams right before Thanksgiving, but we are, and it'll at least have some juice to it. Last year's draft, not as much juice with the Jets and the Giants. Yeah. Not as much. So that's what we'll get again. We'll get a few top 10 picks because the Jets, by the way,
are trending that way.
Yeah, they're I think they're 11.
And the good news is that Green Bay doesn't get to pick. I mean, if there is a silver lining, because Aaron Rodgers did not play 65 or 70% of the plays this year.
That's right. Yep.
It does not transfer to Green Bay.
That is very true.
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.